Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What's happening, football fanatics? Buckle up, because the Minnesota Vikings just dropped the most unexpected bombshell of the 2026 offseason, and the entire NFL is spiraling into absolute chaos. While everyone was busy debating whether the Vikings would stick with JJ McCarthy or tank for the next big college prospect, the front office pulled off the most audacious move in franchise history. They went out and snagged one of the most polarizing, controversial, and downright electrifying quarterbacks in the league, Kyler Murray. Yes, you heard that right. The diminutive dynamo, the video game virtuoso, the walking meme himself is heading to Minnesota, and the internet is absolutely losing its mind. The same Kyler Murray who Cardinals fans simultaneously loved and hated, the same quarterback who was clowned for his height, his alleged lack of commitment, and that infamous homework clause in his contract, is now the Vikings' franchise quarterback. And if you think this is just another boring offseason transaction, think again. This move has all the makings of the most epic revenge tour the NFL has ever witnessed. Let's paint the picture. The Vikings were stuck in quarterback purgatory after watching JJ McCarthy's promising but unspectacular rookie campaign end with a 6-4 record. Sure, McCarthy showed flashes of brilliance, pulled off some clutch moments, and proved he belonged in the NFL, but the front office clearly wasn't satisfied with good enough. They wanted greatness, and they wanted it now. Enter Kyler Murray, stage left, wearing number 1 and ready to silence every single critic who's ever questioned his commitment, his stature, or his ability to lead a franchise to glory. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. This isn't just about the Vikings adding a talented quarterback. This is about creating the most electrically charged, chip-on-their-shoulder combination the league has ever seen. Think about it. The Vikings are perpetually mocked as the franchise that can never get over the hump, the team that breaks hearts and disappoints fans year after year with playoff collapses and missed opportunities. And Kyler, he's been the butt of every short joke, every video game meme, and every he-doesn't-watch-film narrative you can imagine. Put these two forces together, add in Brian Flores' absolutely suffocating top 3 defense, and you've got yourself a recipe for pure, unadulterated domination. The arrival of Kyler Murray instantly transforms this Vikings offense into something we haven't seen in Minnesota since the Randy Moss days. Picture this lethal combination: Kyler's scrambling ability, his cannon for an arm, and his pinpoint accuracy feeding the ball to Justin Jefferson, who just happens to be the most dominant wide receiver in football right now. Jefferson, who's been carrying this offense on his back, suddenly gets a quarterback who can actually get him the ball in stride, who can extend plays with his legs, and who has one of the most accurate deep balls in the entire league. The Jefferson-Kyler connection is about to become the stuff of nightmares for defensive coordinators. And let's not forget about Jordan Addison, assuming he stays out of trouble and doesn't get himself suspended. If Addison can keep his nose clean and avoid being a habitual line stepper, as the team so diplomatically puts it, the Vikings suddenly have one of the most electric wide receiver duos in the National Football League. Kyler throwing to Jefferson and Addison, with TJ Hockenson coming back from his ACL injury, ready for his own revenge tour? Defensive coordinators are going to need therapy just thinking about game planning against this offense. Speaking of Hockenson, let's give the man his flowers. He's another year removed from that devastating ACL tear. He's in a contract year, and he's got everything to prove. A healthy, motivated Hockenson paired with a quarterback like Kyler, who can actually utilize tight ends effectively in the passing game, is going to be absolutely lethal. The middle of the field is going to be wide open all season long, and Hockenson is going to feast. But wait, there's more. The offensive line situation, which has been a perpetual weakness for the Vikings, suddenly looks a whole lot better when you have a quarterback who can scramble out of trouble. Kyler's mobility is going to mask so many deficiencies up front. Those sacks that would have destroyed pocket passers? Kyler turns them into first downs. Those coverage sacks that happen when receivers can't get open? KYLER extends the play and finds someone breaking free. The offensive line doesn't need to be elite when your quarterback is basically a running back who can throw. And don't even get started on the running game. For years, the Vikings have struggled to establish any sort of consistent ground attack, but with KYLER's dual threat ability, defenses can't just stack the box anymore. They have to respect the quarterback run, the read option, the RPO game. Suddenly, those running backs who looked mediocre are going to find gaping holes because defenses are too busy trying to contain number one. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What about JJ McCarthy? The kid who went 15-0 at Michigan, who was drafted to be the franchise's future, who showed enough promise in his rookie season to make Vikings fans believe. Well, this is where things get awkward and potentially catastrophic. McCarthy is now the backup, watching from the sidelines as the team that drafted him brings in another quarterback to take his job. And if you know anything about JJ McCarthy's competitive nature, you know this is going to eat at him every single day. Imagine McCarthy's mindset right now. He's going to train like he's preparing for war. 24/7, 365 days a year, the man is going to be in the film room, in the weight room, on the practice field, doing everything humanly possible to get his job back, and if he doesn't get that opportunity in Minnesota, the rest of the league better watch out. Because when JJ McCarthy eventually gets cut or traded and lands with another franchise, he's going to make it his life's mission to destroy the Vikings every single time they face each other. That's the scary part. The Vikings better hope KYLER works out, because if he doesn't and McCarthy goes somewhere else and becomes a star, the fan base will never forgive the front office. Never. Some people are already envisioning the nightmare scenario where McCarthy ends up with the Detroit Lions and torments Minnesota for the next 15 years. Can you imagine the quarterback the Vikings gave up on becoming the cornerstone of their division rival's dynasty? The memes would be absolutely brutal, and Vikings fans would have every right to burn down US Bank Stadium in protest. But let's get back to the positives, because there are plenty of them. One of the most underrated aspects of this KYLER Murray acquisition is what it does for the entire offensive ecosystem. With a quarterback who demands constant attention from the defense, everyone else's job gets easier. The play-action game becomes lethal. The screen game becomes dangerous. The quick passing game becomes unstoppable. KYLER's ability to process information quickly and get the ball out fast is going to create so many explosive plays. And let's talk about that deep ball for a second. KYLER Murray, when he's locked in, has one of the most beautiful deep balls in football. It's not the biggest arm, but it's accurate, it's on time, and it gives receivers a chance to make plays. Justin Jefferson running a 9 route with KYLER launching a perfectly placed ball over the top? That's going to happen at least once a game, and it's going to be appointment television every single Sunday. The defense, meanwhile, is already elite. Brian Flores has constructed a top 3 unit that can rush the passer, stop the run, and cover receivers. Blake Cashman and Eric Wilson forming that dynamic linebacking duo at the second level is going to be crucial. Cashman, who's in the final year of his contract and playing for an extension, is the unsung hero of this defense. He lines everyone up. He makes tackles all over the field. He can blitz, he can cover. The guy does everything, and he's a local product with a fantastic story. The Vikings need to lock him up long-term because linebackers who can do what Cashman does don't grow on trees. And speaking of linebackers, can we give Eric Wilson some love? The man should have been all-pro. Watching him and Cashman work together is like watching a perfectly choreographed dance. They're always in the right place, always making the play, always keeping the defense organized. With those two anchoring the second level and Flores scheming up exotic blitzes and coverages, opposing offenses are going to have nightmares. Now, let's get to the drama, because what's an NFL offseason without some good old-fashioned trade speculation and roster upheaval? Jonathan Greenard, the edge rusher who's been solid but not spectacular for the Vikings, is reportedly on the trading block. The rumor mill is churning out scenarios left and right, with the most popular one being Greenard to the Philadelphia Eagles for a first-round pick, or maybe Greenard and a 4th or 5th for a 1. Either way, it feels like it's coming, and it might happen as soon as this week. The interesting part about the Greenard situation is the timing. He just got added to the NFLPA Executive Committee, which is cool and shows leadership, but if he gets traded immediately after, that's going to be awkward. Although, to be fair, the Vikings aren't on the hook for his roster bonus that guaranteed on Friday, because it's a base salary guarantee that only kicks in if he's on the roster week 1. So the Vikings can trade him without any financial penalty, which gives them all the leverage in negotiations. Expect something to happen soon, and don't be surprised if Greenard is suiting up in midnight green next season. But here's the thing about roster moves. The Vikings have been busy. They brought back Eric Wilson, they re-signed Andrew DePaula, Xavier Scott, Bo Richter, and Thayer Thomas. They also brought back Jalen Redmond as an exclusive rights free agent, and there's scuttlebutt about working on a long-term extension for him. Ivan Pace Jr. is a restricted free agent, and honestly, the Vikings could take him or leave him. He's been fine, but nothing special. Meanwhile, guys like Ken Nwangwu and Ryan Wright departed for other teams, and honestly, good riddance to Ryan Wright. The Vikings stuck with him when he was terrible, he finally got okay, and then he bailed for New Orleans. Thanks for nothing, buddy. The biggest question mark on the roster right now is Jordan Addison. The Vikings are reportedly still deciding whether to offer him a long-term contract extension, with factors like paying Justin Jefferson, eventually paying a quarterback, and Addison's maturity and off-field growth all playing into the decision. Here's the thing. The Vikings have until May 1st to decide on Addison's fifth-year option, which would be fully guaranteed at around $18 million for the 2027 season. But because Addison has been such a habitual line stepper with his off-field issues, anything he does moving forward can void those guarantees. So it's not as big of a gamble as you might think. The ball is in Addison's court. If he produces on the field and stays clean off the field, the Vikings are in. But one slip-up, and those guarantees are voided. It's actually a pretty smart strategy when you think about it. If Addison does return and keeps his act together, the Vikings still have one of the most electric wide receiver duos in the entire NFL. Jefferson and Addison with Kyler Murray throwing them the ball, that's going to pay massive dividends. Defenses simply won't be able to cover both of them. And when you add in Hawkinson and a competent running game, this offense is going to be unstoppable. And then there's the Will Reichard situation. The Vikings kicker had an absolutely phenomenal season, going 33 of 35 on field goals with a perfect record on extra points. He led the NFL with a 150-plus yard field goal, and a lot of people have pointed out that both of his missed field goals supposedly hit the cables at the stadium. If that's true, the NFL should retroactively give him a perfect season. The man deserves it. Meanwhile, Brandon Aubrey over in Dallas is demanding more money even though he's not as good as Reichard. But he gets all the publicity because he played soccer, didn't kick in college, and plays for America's team. Whatever. Reichard is better, and Vikings fans know it. Speaking of perfect seasons, JJ McCarthy had one at Michigan, going 15-0 and winning the national championship. He was recently in attendance at the Big Ten title game for basketball, wearing a White Sox hat, which is a whole different conversation, and Michigan went on to lose 80-72 to Purdue. McCarthy's presence didn't help the Wolverines, but they still have a chance to make noise in March Madness. The real question is how long the JJ McCarthy meme is going to last. You remember the crying Jordan meme? That thing lasted for years and dominated the internet before finally fading away. The McCarthy meme might have similar staying power, especially if he ends up flaming out of the league. But if McCarthy rises up and becomes a starter again, it'll probably stick around for at least another year or two. Either way, it's comedy gold. And speaking of comedy gold, someone apparently wagered 100 jelly beans on JJ McCarthy winning NFL MVP for the 2026-2027 season at plus 2,500 odds. If that somehow hits, they'd win 25,100 jelly beans. Now, that's not the craziest bet in the world. If McCarthy somehow wins the starting job over KYLER and then absolutely rips the cover off the ball in the ultimate revenge tour, stranger things have happened. But let's be real, the smart money is on KYLER right now. Although, if McCarthy did win MVP, the Vikings front office would look absolutely foolish, and the memes would be legendary. But let's get back to reality for a second. The reason the Vikings made this move for Kyler Murray is because they're in win-now mode. They have an elite defense, they have the best wide receiver in football, and they have a roster that's ready to compete for a championship. They couldn't afford to wait and see if JJ McCarthy would develop into a franchise quarterback over the next 2 or 3 years. They needed someone who could come in right now and elevate this team to Super Bowl contention. And whether you love him or hate him, Kyler Murray gives them that chance. The narrative surrounding this team is absolutely perfect. The Vikings are perpetually disrespected. They're the franchise that always finds a way to lose in heartbreaking fashion. They're the team that gets clowned for playoff failures and missed opportunities. And Kyler Murray? He's the quarterback who's been doubted his entire career. Too short, not committed, video game obsessed, doesn't watch film. Every criticism you can imagine has been levied against him. But you know what? When he's healthy and locked in, Kyler Murray is one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the NFL. And now he's got something to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder the size of Mount Rushmore, and he's walking into an absolutely perfect situation. This Vikings team is setting up to be an FU perfect storm. Flores' defense is elite. The offense is about to explode with KYLER at the helm. Jefferson is going to get fed. Addison is going to get fed. Hawkinson is going to have a resurgent year. The offensive line is going to look better because KYLER can scramble. They can actually run the damn ball now. Everything is aligning for this team to shock the world. And you know what the best part is? Nobody believes in them. The media is going to doubt them. Other fan bases are going to mock them. Analysts are going to pick against them. But that's exactly what this team needs. They thrive as underdogs. They play their best football when everyone counts them out. And with Kyler Murray leading the charge, they're going to prove all the doubters wrong. Of course, there are still questions that need to be answered. Will the offensive line hold up? Can Addison stay out of trouble? Will the running game actually materialize? Is KYLER going to stay healthy for a full season? These are all legitimate concerns, but if everything breaks right, this Vikings team is going to be absolutely terrifying. And let's not forget about the drama that's still brewing. There are rumors flying around that the Vikings should trade Justin Jefferson, which is absolutely insane. Bleacher Report and other outlets keep pushing these ridiculous trade scenarios where teams offer conditional second-round picks or garbage packages for the best receiver in football. Some fan bases think they can lowball the Vikings with insulting offers, but here's the reality. If the Vikings are going to trade Jefferson, it's going to cost you a first-round pick minimum, probably multiple firsts, and a premium defensive player. Anything less than that is a non-starter. Although, if Jefferson ended up in Buffalo with Josh Allen, that would be absolutely electric. Or in Tennessee with Cam Ward. But it's not happening. The Vikings didn't bring in Kyler Murray to trade away his best weapon. They brought in KYLER to maximize Jefferson's potential and finally win a championship. The hype around this team is building, and it's building fast. Fans are starting to realize that this might actually be the year. This might be the season where everything finally comes together. The defense is elite. The offense is explosive. The special teams are solid with Reichard handling kicking duties. The coaching staff is excellent with Kevin O'Connell calling plays and Flores running the defense. All the pieces are in place. Now it's just a matter of execution. And execution is where Kyler Murray comes in. Say what you want about his height, his video game habits, or his supposed lack of commitment, but the man can play football. When he's healthy and dialed in, he's one of the most dynamic playmakers in the entire league. He can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his legs. He can extend plays that have no business being extended and turn them into touchdowns. He's exactly what this Vikings offense needed, and he's exactly what Justin Jefferson deserves. The countdown to the season is already underway, and Vikings fans are chomping at the bit to see what this team can do. The narrative is set. The revenge tour is locked and loaded. Kyler Murray and the Minnesota Vikings are about to shock the world, and it's going to be absolutely glorious. Every doubter is going to eat their words. Every analyst who picked against them is going to look foolish. Every fan base that mocked them is going to regret it. This is the year. This is the team. This is the moment. So if you're a Vikings fan, get ready, get hyped, get loud, because this season is going to be one hell of a ride. The 5'2" revenge tour is about to run through the entire NFL, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. Kyler Murray is a Viking. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football. The defense is elite. Everything is aligning for perfection. And for everyone else, buckle up, because the Minnesota Vikings are coming, and they're not here to play nice. They're here to dominate. They're here to prove everyone wrong. They're here to finally get over the hump and bring a championship to Minneapolis. The Kyler Murray era in Minnesota starts now, and it's going to be absolutely legendary. So smash that like button if you're ready for the Vikings to shock the world this season. Drop a comment below with your bold predictions for Kyler and the Vikings offense. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because you're not going to want to miss a single moment of this incredible journey. The Revenge Tour starts now, and we're going to be here for every single second of it. Let's go Vikings!
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.